Alrighty, it is now 4 days later, and we are all cleaned up from the storm. Power and internet and everything are back up and running. Thank you to the crews that are out there all night long in these storms, getting us back up and running. Um, it's not a job I would want. So I want to go through and finish this project, this lovely crinkly snippet roll that I'm doing on a piano roll. We have two more segments to do today. I'm going to try to do both of these and finish up this video for you. And then I promised to show you something kind of cool at the end of the last video, and then my internet and power went out, so I'm going to get to that at the end of this video. A fun little way to burn your papers. So let's get started with this second piece. Get this one safely out of the way because I do have some ink here that I want to be using. And unroll this and give myself some space. So I'm going to kind of do something like this. And I'm going to try to remember to keep that covered today. So this is what we're doing on the middle portion. And I'll link the video below, by the way, on the first part of this. So I'm going to get myself some fresh piano roll using I decided to put some distress ink in water because on this one I just took the ink, the eyedropper, and just dropped it along here and then smeared it. Oh, sorry, this piece right here. But I want to get a little more of a an even, smooth border like I did on this first one I did. And I think this is how I did it. So it's just Tim Holtz Vintage Photo distress ink that you use. I showed this in the last video, that you use to re-ink your Tim Holtz pads. But I like to buy bottles of this, not just for my pads, but to do things like this. And what I had mentioned in the last video is that because this is so shiny, it really doesn't absorb liquid like paper would. And I found that tea staining didn't work well for me on this. So I'm just going to take this and let me even this up a little bit here. I don't care that it's not evenly cut, but I just don't care for this piece sticking out, and I'll use that on a collage for something. So I'm just going to take this and just brush it. Oh, my paintbrush is falling apart. I'm just gonna, what the heck, it's all gooey. That's interesting, it turned all gooey. It's been sitting here since I did the last video. I covered it so it wouldn't evaporate. And whatever they put in this, it got a little gooey. Alright, I think that works a lot better than the technique I did in the last video. And clean my paintbrush off on my on my paper towel that I will use for collaging later. I just like, on these snippets, I just like having a border like that. And normally I would let this dry, but I think I will just blot off any excess before I move on to the next step, because I really want to keep rolling with this video and get this project off my desk that's been here for 4 days, because I have orders I need to get out. So for this segment of the roll, I'm going to use a stencil, I think. And I might have shown this in the last video. This is just something, yeah, I think I did. I just cut this on my silhouette machine from on the back of the cover of a paper pad. I use that, and I use this until it falls apart, and then I just cut another one. It's a really inexpensive way to get yourself some stencils. So I think I'm going to use this one. It looks like little coffee coffee circles, coffee stains, I should say. Move that out of the way. And use my Tim Holtz vintage photo, just stencil away. And just like with the other snippet roll, I like to go off the edge a little bit, but isn't that the coolest stencil? I love this thing. This is probably my only my second one, and I use it a lot. Let's see, maybe another one sort of touching that one would be nice. I have to say the only nice thing about that storm, well, two nice things. One, I live on a very busy road, unfortunately, and it was so nice. There was no traffic, so it was so quiet, so nice and quiet. A lot of logging trucks go by here, and they jake brake all the way down the hill. You can hear it in a lot of my videos. And the other thing was how well our 200-year-old house, we call her Big Bertha, how well she held up in the storm. She was saying, shoot, I've seen so many storms like this. This is nothing. We didn't even realize the storm was that bad until we went outside, out of the house, because she didn't shake or anything. We had one little leak in the attic where the water, there were 70-mile-an-hour winds with this storm and torrential rains at the same time, and the wind drove the rain in through one of our attic windows that we haven't replaced yet because we have 60 windows in the house. Okay, I like that. I think that's enough because I'm only kind of doing this section. And next I want to do just a little bit of collaging. I can always add more of this later, but I want to do a little bit of collaging with some of my scraps here. And so I want to use one of these again because I love using these. And maybe this is kind of cool. I think I'll rip that off and use it. And this does need to be inked because it's a little too white. And a piece of this, so maybe I'll put this here. Wonder what it would look like if I just soaked it in there. In my ink. Ooh, I like that. Gooey. What did they put in this that turned it gooey? Alright, I love the look of that, but I'm going to have to let it dry. I think I'll just kind of tape this. Oops, sorry. Tape this here maybe. You know what? I think I inked that up a little too much. Let me try another piece. I don't want everything to be Tim Holtz vintage photo color. So let me just distress that a little bit. Just dab it to get the white off a little. And do the edges. That looks better. I'll go ahead and glue that on. Get this out of my way before I tip it over. I think I want to glue it right there. And on this one, so I did the stenciling, or I did the edges, the borders, I guess you could call them. Did some stenciling. I put 2 pieces of scraps, and then I did some black inking, and then did some splotches. So I think I'll get out my stamps and my black ink pad and do that next. And for the one that I did in the last video, I used circles because I had a lot of rectangular pieces. I think this one I'm going to continue with the circles. So I just got my stamp from this Bo Bunny Terrific Textures stamp set that I showed last week. I'm going to use this one again with some black ink and just randomly throw down some black circles. And again, go off the edge. And this is what's so fun about this project. Just put things anywhere. There doesn't have to be any rhyme or reason to it. It's just whatever you think. I want a really, really super dark one. Let me really push that down on the ink. Maybe redo this one. There. Okay. And then I'm just going to take my paintbrush and my ink again and just randomly do some splotches. And get another splotch on that. And that needs to lay flat and dry, or I could do this and see if it'll run. I don't know, it's just so gooey. But that's the next section, the middle section of the snippet roll. And now let's do the third section. I'm going to safely put this up here to dry. Move my ink and unroll the third section. So this one's a little wider than the other one, and I did that on purpose because I just might want different sizes to cut off and throw in my journals. And this one I did a lot of the same techniques that we did on the others, but I'm going to show you how to make this look burned at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and excuse me, paint the edges again. And I really cut this one very badly, but that's okay. All right, paint that. Find 2 pieces of scrap paper. And for this one, the last time I used some scraps of handmade paper, which I love using. I love the texture of it, and I stamped on it, and I love the way that looked, so I think I'm going to do it again. Just going to tear a couple of pieces. Let's see, maybe I want a little bit of a longer one. a straight edge. Maybe I'll put that there and this here. Okay, and then ink the edges and do some stamping on it. But don't you love this look? And I wish you could feel it. It's a really cool handmade paper. Then you ink the edges and stamp with black, and it just looks awesome. I love this. So I think I will throw this one down about here. Glue it down. My glue has not been cooperating. It kind of got gunked up in here, so I need to deal with that at some point. Put that there. All right. And then I'm going to use my Bow Bunny stamp set again, and I'm going to use this one, which is it just puts a blob like that on your pages. I like that. And then I'm going to use, I think, the circle again. And then I'm going to take my ink, and you know what? That's just too gooey. I'm going to just use my eyedropper and drop some ink directly on to the paper. Maybe some of this watered down color will go on. Yeah. See, isn't this fun? You don't have to think about it. It's just messy. Just do whatever. Because you're only going to use pieces of this anyway, in most cases. Okay, I do need to let this dry for the next part, the little special thing that I discovered that I'm going to show you, and I'll come back and show you how to burn this paper. Okay, here's the cool little thing that Mags did in her video, and I thought this was a great idea. She took a piece of incense and burned the paper. I want to say, disclaimer, this craft here is not for children. Do not burn down your craft room and sue me. I have nothing to offer, to give you. So try this at your own risk, okay? So the first thing she did was just light a piece of incense, and I have a container of water here next to me and an extremely wet paper towel that I dunked in the water and then squeezed out, but it's very, very wet. And I have my glass mat. And I got the I got the incense at the dollar store, and it's not a pleasant scent, but oh well, we'll work with it. So I'm just going to burn holes right through it. That's one of the things she did. Isn't that cool? I don't know if it'll go through all the tape. Yep, eventually. Burn holes. course, this piano roll paper already has holes in it for the piano player piano, but and then I'm going to try to see if I can, yeah, do the edge. Isn't that awesome? Yes, I love that. And so what the wet paper towel is for, if it gets too hot, just boop. And I am going to leave this on my glass mat for several hours. I don't want something that I didn't realize was smoldering. I mean, you really have to be very, very careful with this. Obviously, you're in a craft room with paper and you've got flame. So this is much quicker on a piece of regular paper. And some little sparks are falling on my mat, so that's why I'm using my glass mat. And I will be, I did dampen that a little bit. Safety first, safety, safety, safety. This is kind of relaxing, actually. Especially now that the smoke is not blowing in my face. I love the way this is looking. Look at this. Isn't that great? I think I'm going to poke a few more holes, like make bigger holes. Like that. Ooh. You can almost kind of draw with it. Look at that nice big hole. What is it about junk journal people, do you think, that we find the beauty in the ugly? Like burned paper. Oops, I need to probably need to relight this, but it's I think we're a unique group of artists, don't you? I'm loving that. I want to do a little bit more on this side so that I don't have a real super neat edge and then a burned edge. And be careful because you just never know how the incense is going to react depending on what product you've put on the paper. You might have some kind of a flammable ink that you put on there or something. I don't know, just be really super careful with this. And have all of your, have plenty of water. Move all your paper away from the area where you're going to be doing this, and have a glass mat or some non-flammable, maybe a cookie sheet would work. Do it over a cookie sheet, especially a damp cookie sheet. Then if it catches on fire, you can just kind of drop your paper in there. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't even be doing this video. So worried about getting sued these days, you know. Okay. I think you get the idea. Let me use my wet cloth and I'm just going to dampen it just to make sure everything is out. But isn't that, look at this. I love that. And this, just awesome. So you might be wondering, well, what do you do with these? What are these for? And let me get this incense, this stinky incense. Let me put this out. Whew. So snippets in the junk journal world are just pieces of collaged, random collaged stuff. So we've got the ones that I just did in the video. We have ones like this that I have in my shop that are just sewn random pieces of paper and fabric and other things. And they can be used in a variety of ways, basically any way that you would use paper. So let me find a page here. So for example, these I like to put on the edge and have sticking out the side, so it's kind of like a tab is sticking out the side. I use these as belly bands. There's all sorts of uses. You can just put it here and use it as a pocket, or just have it be a decorative element on your page and do some journaling, doodling on it, journaling around it. That's really fun. And this one can be used in the same way. So you could have this on the edge of your page, kind of sticking out. Of course, cut it down to size. And then you have a really cool grungy look sticking out the side of your pages. You could cut this down and you could put it on a tag as collaging on a tag, and then have that be in your journal. Again, like the other one, oh, I'm still getting some soot is coming off from the from the burning. Like the other one, you could just put it on your page as a really cool collage. I personally like this one way over here. Maybe I'll have that thing sticking out, and I'll do some journaling here, or put another decorative element over there. This wider one I could put on the bottom, and would make a very, actually maybe that's what I'm going to do. That's a very cool pocket. So that's what you do. It's just a piece of collaged artwork that you made yourself. Then you decide how you want to put it in your journal. Whatever feels beautiful to you, that's what you do. So thank you for your patience while I worked through this video through the storm. I hope that you enjoyed these techniques. Go check out Mags Woodcock's channel. She had some cool things on there, and that's where I got these ideas, kind of made them my own a little bit, but she has some really cool. If you really like grungy like this, then you might want to follow her too. So I'll see you in the next video, and thank you for watching. Be safe. Bye-bye.